Something I do to help the earth is I recycle.
Stay tuned for more green tips. I'm Stephanie Tucker, and welcome to EcoVision. Today we're talking all about climate change, what it is, why it's happening, and most importantly, what we can do to tackle it. So let's kick it off with some eco-friendly fun from Conservation Corps Newfoundland and Labrador's mascot, Polly the polar bear.
Together we can all make greener choices to help our planet.
That Polly the polar bear sure knows how to be green. Helping people learn how to live a green, eco-friendly life is one of the main goals of the Climate Change Education Center. Let's take a look and find out what they do.
Hi, my name is Jessica Madden. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator at Conservation Corps Newfoundland and Labrador. Conservation Corps Newfoundland and Labrador became the host organization for the Climate Change Education Center in 2002. And over the years, we've become a leading organization in climate change education and outreach in the province. Our classroom presentations offer a whole view perspective on climate change. So we talk about, what it is, how it's happening, why it's happening, and most importantly, what we can do to help slow it down. And, it really empowers students. It shows them and gives them the tools to, look at their own behaviors every day and see what kind of green actions they can take in order to help our planet. The 2015-2016 school year was a record-breaking year for us. The demand for classroom presentations was just unprecedented, so it was phenomenal. We were really, really happy about it, and we're always looking to get into classrooms and meet new students and meet new teachers and just share the information with them. And last year we presented to over 13,000 students across Newfoundland and Labrador, so it was phenomenal. We were really happy about that. I love when students have something that they want to share with me. That's the best. When they've learned something that they think that you may not know, that they heard on the news this morning, or that they talked about with their parents at the dinner table the night before. That's really fun. And because the world is, ever changing, it's such a dynamic world that we live in. There's new information about climate change being presented to us all the time. So it's really great to get into these classrooms and, discuss this with students and hear what they have to say about it and hear what they have to say about how climate change makes them feel.
Should that go in the garbage or in a composter? Composter, yes, excellent.
Our classroom presentations are a great thing to include in your school day. They meet a number of curriculum outcomes from many different subject levels. So as a former teacher, I know, how important that is. And I think that it's a great thing. If you want to get in touch with us and have us come in and speak to your students, we would love to do that. So the Climate Change Education Center is able to offer small grants to schools and classes who would like to conduct a climate change project. So a project that raises awareness about climate change, brings light to climate change issues here in our province. The grant is called the Youth Engagement Funding Initiative. We call it the YEFI program, the YEFI initiative. So this past school year, the 2015-2016 school year, we had 8 schools that received the grant, and their projects varied from creating a school garden where they grew vegetables and learned about how climate change is impacting our planet with respect to transportation and having food brought here to our province and the benefits of growing food locally. We also had a school that actually created public service announcements that were aired within their school for the school community, and they worked with local filmmaker Xavier Georges, and he guided them into, in creating these public service announcements, and they were phenomenal. One of the topics of their public service announcements was idling, where they, created this little skit where they had a news reporter interviewing a man who was idling in his vehicle, and they suggested why he shouldn't do that.
Idling releases CO2 into the atmosphere and adds a blanket to the atmosphere, and once heat gets in, it can't get out. Live on location, we move to Maggie Fury. This is Maggie Fury with BMCS Ireland News. I'm here with John Kim, a drive-thru restaurant lover. So John, why do you like the drive-thru?
Well, it saves me time, and I'm a busy man. Plus, in the drive-thru line, I can send some texts, listen to the news, and make sure I'm up on things.
Were you aware you're putting a lot of carbon dioxide into the air and adding to global warming?
That's interesting, and I didn't know that. But, it'll be hard. Leaving the drive-thru will be a hard habit to break.
What about being a walk-in customer on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays as a start?
Well, I do think the cashier is kind of cute, and I might get a chance to talk to her if I actually went into the store.
See, stopping idling can have benefits everywhere. Back to you, Brooke.
We also have a school in Conception Bay South that received the YEFI grant this year. The school is doing some very important research on sharks and how climate change is impacting shark migration here in Conception Bay.
My name's Cameron. I'm a grade 10 student at Holy Spirit High, and we're out here doing a project on water salinity and pH levels for our Science 1206 class.
My students and I are conducting a project where we're examining the water quality within Conception Bay and trying to correlate the quality of the water with the presence of marine species.
We're doing some water testing and stuff and looking at different animals on the bottom of the sea. Check the pH level and different stuff like that to make sure the ocean's stable.
And we're trying to focus on problems with global warming, looking at ocean acidification. But also another problem with global warming is species that are not supposed to be here coming further and further south because the ocean is actually warming.
So it's really amazing what students are doing here and what they're learning about climate change and how they're trying to share that knowledge with community. It's amazing. The goal of the Climate Change Education Center is to empower students, to make them realize that they can make change within their communities. We hope that after our presentations, they go home to their families, share what they've learned, and that they apply that to their lives. It's really important that the youth of our province, the youth of our country, the youth of the world know about climate change and the urgency in dealing with it. This is a topic that can't be ignored, and it's finally getting the attention that it deserves on a global level. And it's important that our youth feel that they have the tools and they have the knowledge and the foundation to go forward and be leaders in making change happen.
There are so many unique ways to take care of our planet. And when we all work together to make positive changes, it makes a big difference. At Beachy Cove Elementary, the students in Mr. Shoemaker's class are taking care of our planet by making their own public service announcement videos about climate change. Let's see what they're up to.
Welcome to Beachy Cove Elementary!
Lon Shoemaker is my name. I'm a teacher here at Beachy Cove Elementary. I'm grade 4 French immersion. And we were very fortunate this year to have worked with Conservation Corps Newfoundland and Labrador on the YEFI funding project.
My name is Jewel Jones, and in the news today, we will be discussing the solution to pollution because there is no doubt that the world is warming up.
Gregory Somerton, this gas station owner, joins me now. Hi, Gregory. What do you think about climate change?
I don't like it because I hate bad weather like rainstorms caused by climate change.
I learned from this project that it is not just easy to just do oh, I'm gonna make a movie. You have to get all the scenes planned out, all the dialogue and all the shots.
the steps to making a great newscast is, well, first you have to pick a subject. In my case, it was bioplastic. So, and then you have to do a ton of research about that subject, and then you have to make your script.
I am Jesse Richards, reporting live with KJ News. I am here at Beachy Cove Elementary to interview one of the students. If you were a company owner, would you switch to bioplastic?
Yes, like I said, it's less pollution and easier to make.
That's right, folks. It's made from biodegradable things like peels of your fruits and vegetables.
The coolest part was getting to do the camera, moving it up and down, and being able to be an actor.
The coolest part of the project was definitely editing, because you got to experience all of the different ways you can edit.
I think the coolest part of this project was doing the camera.
Countries all over the world are getting warmer by the year. One of the causes of climate change we can easily fix is idling. Idling is when drivers have their engine running but their vehicle is parked or not moving.
Cars are a part of many people's lives around the world. Right, Jordan?
You got that right, but they're doing horrible things to the environment. One way to monitor this is to try to not use our cars as much and use public transport, carpool, walk, ride a bike, skateboard, or scooter.
Well, I learned a lot about pollution and ways to stop it, and also a lot about making films and commercials.
It's really, really lovely to know that they've not only created the lesson, but also internalized it in a way that they can express it to others and help the teaching continue.
Well, Mr. Shoemaker is obviously a very funny teacher, and he's a really good teacher and gives us a lot of math.
And he gives us a lot of opportunities that other classes don't get to have.
It was my dream to do this because someday I really want to be a movie director.
And I'd really like to thank Mr. Shoemaker and Xavier for letting us do this awesome project. We all enjoyed it, and it was really fun.
Those students did an awesome job sharing their environmental messages. Keeping up the conversation about climate change is so important. So up next, we chatted with climate change classroom educator, Penny Moran. We asked her about what climate change is and how she inspires young people to take action and care for our planet.
My name is Penny Moran, and I am the Assistant Education and Outreach Worker for the Climate Change Education Center. So essentially what I do is I go into the schools and deliver climate change presentations to the youth from kindergarten to grade 12. We go into the schools and of course we first talk about what is climate change, and climate change is the shift in the long-term average weather patterns. And so really we focus on three distinct areas. So we talk about the science behind climate change and why it's happening. And then we talk about what are the impacts of climate change. And of course we focus on local impacts here in Newfoundland. And finally, the third section of the presentation is we focus on the solutions. And the solutions are just looking at what can we do as students to help climate change. The key messages that we're trying to get across to students with climate change is really that, what's different right now is that we know that throughout Earth's history is that the climate has warmed and cooled. But the key difference now is that it's how quickly that planet Earth is warming up. And the other really big difference is that while planet Earth is warming up, the major difference is that it's human activity, it's what we're doing that's causing the planet to warm up so quickly. Planet Earth is warming up quickly as a result of human activities, mainly the burning of fossil fuels. Examples of fossil fuels are coal, oil, and natural gas. Humans depend on fossil fuels for transportation, heating, and electricity. The onset of the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century saw a boom in manufacturing worldwide. Factories were created and mass production began. So too did the burning of fossil fuels to run those factories. Our dependence on fossil fuels has continued to grow, along with our population. As we burn fossil fuels, they release greenhouse gases that trap in heat. The major gases produced by humans are carbon dioxide and methane. Landfills and the meat industry create enormous amounts of methane every year. As vegetation breaks down, it releases methane. This is why those landfills create so much every year. Also, when vegetation is digested through cows and pigs, methane is released. The size of farms has grown over the past 100 years, and this is why the meat industry is responsible for producing tons of methane. With that being said, the greenhouse gas that is the leading contributor to climate change is carbon dioxide. By volume, carbon dioxide accounts for more than half of the greenhouse gases produced by humans. The primary way Canadians emit carbon dioxide is through the use of transportation. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, carbon was at a stable level for thousands of years, approximately 280 parts per million. Right now, the amount of carbon in our atmosphere is above 400 parts per million. Once released into the atmosphere, some greenhouse gases may remain there for a couple hundred years. That means that the fossil fuels our great-grandparents burned are still warming up planet Earth today. When greenhouse gases are at a stable level, this is a good thing, as they help keep the planet warm. This can be explained through what is known as the greenhouse effect. The sun's rays shine down on our planet, and some of this heat and radiation is absorbed by various surfaces on Earth. Some of those rays are reflected off of the Earth's surface, and the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere trap this heat and radiation. In fact, without these greenhouse gases, our average earthly temperature would fall from 18 degrees Celsius to negative 15 degrees Celsius. The problem is that for the last approximately 150 years, we have been burning fossil fuels at a very high rate. Thus, the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has increased by about 40%, thereby trapping more heat and warming up the planet. Imagine you've parked the car for a few hours on a hot day. When you return to the car and open up the door, it's really hot in there. This is a lot like what is happening on Earth. So basically, we're enhancing the greenhouse effect. We humans are damaging our environment in a big way. So what does that really mean? So then we talk about the impacts of climate change, and quite often what we find is that the youth are surprised that climate change is impacting them, and that it's impacting us here. So all of a sudden climate change isn't something that's happening out there and to other people in the world. There are things that are happening right here in our province that are happening because of actions that we're taking as humans. And so it's helping youth understand that yes, it's our responsibility to demand change and to ask for change to make sustainable choices. We're finding that students are more aware and teachers are talking about climate change. And so now one of the things that we're doing is we're finding that the youth are coming up with the solutions themselves. So rather than us telling the students what they can do, we're having them brainstorm and do some group work, and they're coming up with the solutions. And I often find when youth are coming up with the answers themselves, this is very empowering, and then I think that they're more likely to be engaged and passionate about change and making change.
The Climate Change Education Center's presentations really do a great job of inspiring our province's youth to make greener choices. But we wanted to find out what kinds of things are kids in our province already doing to help the planet. So we stopped by Vanier Elementary to find out.
Here at Vanier Elementary, we are trying to reduce the amount of plastic waste that we are putting into the oceans.
And it will help our environment. What's one thing I do to help the earth?
Well, my family, we recycle and we recycle paper and bottles, and we always reuse things. We find a way to reuse things usually before we throw them out in the garbage.
If you take the bus instead of a car, then you reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2/3.
To help the environment, I recycle and compost.
Something I do to help the earth is I only take showers that are like 2 minutes.
We could stop taking cars everywhere, do bicycling.
Or we could walk, use electric cars.
Something I do to help the environment is composting.
I compost a lot of fruits.
Something I do to help the earth is I use this plastic bag.
One thing that I do to help the earth is plant new vegetables and trees.
Something we can do to help the earth is to turn off the lights when we're not in the room.
Instead of using plastic bags, we use reusable bags.
My family uses reusable bags.
Something I do to help the world is I walk instead of use my car.
Something we can do to help the earth is compost, recycle, and turn off the lights when we're not there.
My advice is that when you're going to the grocery store or anywhere, make sure to bring a reusable bag in the back of your trunk or multiple reusable bags.
Something I do to help the earth is I recycle.
My family composts and recycles.
One way to save water is that you could take a short shower instead of filling up the bath and getting a bath.
Something I do to help the earth is I use reusable water bottles.
You could only fill up the bath water until your belly button.
When you're in your house and you're leaving, you should make sure all the lights are off. You can make sure your TV's not on.
And even for boats, you could, I guess, swim instead of taking a boat.
We can save water by not using, when we brush our teeth, we don't use too much.
Be green!
Our future's in good hands. We hope you learned all kinds of ways to tackle climate change on today's episode of EcoVision. Thank you for joining us today and being a part of the change.